Having only recently finished the Indigo Disc DLC, it's going to be nice to take a little break before starting work on my next video. It always finds some way to pull me back in. So first things first, I'm going to need to be able to actually access the epilogue to the DLC. Now, to do this, you just need to go to the mystery gift and select Get via Internet. Then you'll be able to get the mythical Pecha berry, a special berry only produced once every few years that looks more like a book to me. Never mind, that'll teach me to be smart. With this mythical berry in my pocket, it was time to head on over to Masui and Kitakami so I can visit everyone's favourite convenience store, Peachy's, to take a look at the little pink plush that it kinda reminds me of. Yeah, these two peak things look alike. Just let me get the berry in my pocket to compare and... Wait, I'm getting a phone call from Alvin. Yeah, sure. I haven't seen him in a long time. Since we saved the Paldean region, I think, so why not? Okay, now let's take a closer look at the pink thing, and it's gone. Well, it did look like the special Pecha berry while it was still there. I'm sure this won't set off a series of unfortunate events. I was planning on seeing my mum anyway, since I literally haven't been back since I started school, saved Paldean from Koraidon, saved Kitakami from the Loyal 3, and saved Terrapagos from Kieran. But Arvin had other plans, and so did Nemona and Penny, who just decided to invite themselves along for fear of missing out. As long as they're on the best behaviour, I guess it should be fine. Never mind, everyone's trying to eat us out of house and home. It's a good thing my mum clearly doesn't have an issue with this, making more snacks for all these home invaders she's never met just because she's a feeder through and through. Oh, yeah, Arvin, she is pretty nice. Not sure how to deal with this situation. While I was away, apparently a letter came for me all the way from Kitakami, so he is hoping it's from side character number 3 because we haven't spoken in so long. And it's from Kieran. Seems like another one for the Shredder to me. But that does give me an idea. My mum would probably appreciate me taking these uninvited house guests somewhere else, so why not go on a little trip to Masui Town with people that I actually know this time? Everyone seems to be up for this idea, but taking a valuable lesson from the last DLC, we should probably get permission if we're going to go on a journey out of Paldean. One awkward long phone call between Penny and her dad, and an even longer journey later, I led the group up the path to Masui Town, taking in all the sights and smells of Kitakami. And look who it is! It's my old friend Nameless Caretaker. Apparently Kieran spared no expense and sent him as a welcoming party for us. But at least he's freshened up the rooms for us to stay in while we're here. The group seemed really interested in meeting up with Kieran for some reason, so I tell them what little info I paid attention to, and they're all surprised that he doesn't have a smartphone. Especially Penny. I've got different reasons to wonder how Kieran's still alive, but weirdly enough, that isn't one of them. Anyway, back to it. Nemona's chomping at the bit to battle another champion. Ex-champion. Whatever. So we head over to his grandparents' house. Okay, he must have been eavesdropping on us. Otherwise, why did he start taking jabs at how long it took me to get the last video out? Karma hit back at him though, given the rough time he's having at home right now, directly mirroring random guy number C's issues that he gave him a hard time for back at the Blueberry Academy. But back at the house though, he's wondering if I've come all this way by myself. Which, as you know, I didn't. And little does he know, I actually brought everyone along so I don't have to talk to him the whole time. This was a super effective idea, but Nemona went in for the critical on this one. Penny, of all people, ends up giving her advice on personal space, which Arvin might need some help with as well. Just more on the emotional end. Did I ever tell him that I met up with his mum at the Crystal Lake? That's probably not important. We've already had too many mentions of parents for a Pokemon game already, so let's just move on. Kieran finally manages to get a word in edgewise and introduces himself, as well as how he knows me and how we became acquainted. The loss to me back at Blueberry Academy really hit him harder than Nemona's introduction, so he's currently taking a break from school, because that's something kids are allowed to do in the Pokemon world apparently. Penny only reminded me that this is more of a common thing than I actually realised. At least Arvin gets my point of view. Maybe he does deserve to be promoted to best friend. Pleasantries aside, Nemona's given up being nice and isn't giving Kieran any chance but to battle her in front of the community centre. This gives him major PTSD flashbacks to how Carmine treated him back when we first met. Which, now that I mention it, we haven't seen or heard of her since we got here. The battle must have went well for Nemona, since they're already in position and done by the time we've made our way down there. What was Gita on about when she said they couldn't find capable personnel in Paldean? After being destroyed by her, Arvin and Penny follow in from behind to remind us that getting beaten by her is just part of the experience of knowing her, and that once Stockholm Syndrome sets in, it's actually not as bad as you might think. Not happy with this, obviously. We're interrupted somehow by a person saying absolutely nothing. Oh, it was Carmine. But I'd forgotten that the group had met her before, so I let her introduce herself, and, well, that's one way to make a first impression. I mean, I get it. Sometimes you just gotta eat and nothing else in the world matters. Not sure about the chicken dance, though. Clearly not aware of social norms. Nemona still wants to try and battle her. And again, Penny's here to point out the obvious for her. This has been going on long enough that Kieran's used to this by now and asks us for help picking her up and carrying her off to somewhere safe. Everyone surprisingly doesn't take much convincing to manhandle a stranger, so we bring her up to the grandparents' house and just leave her there under the watchful eye of Gramps and Grandma, who could be doing a better job apparently. Something's obviously off with her, which I know and Kieran confirms. But he's still obviously a child because that explanation was stupid. Thank you, Arvin, for questioning that for me. Not wanting to seem dumb in front of these people he's just met, Kieran sticks to his story. And he's also taken some cues from Drayton because he's arranged this meeting with an ulterior motive in mind. Hindsight finally helping it set in that this really isn't a normal thing to start happening out of nowhere. It's clearly... No, we've lost him again. Sure, it must be a curse and nothing else. I'm starting to sense a theme in what's going on here, and I'm not alone in this. Speculating what it could be, we're reminded that it can't be anything to do with Ogerpon or the Loyal 3. Feed my ego slightly about how I just came in and solved all of their issues in one fell swoop. Nothing's changed, except this time it's Arvin offering up our services, regardless of any movie tropes and curses. There's no rush in helping his sister get better though, so it's time for bed. After a welcome party, of course. Nemona's back with drinks, Penny confesses her love languages, and somehow, we'd paid for it all but still managed to take it without permission. Guys, I thought we learned this by now. How is this normal? This village makes no sense. Stuff like this wouldn't fly anywhere else. And that wasn't all she took. There were more snacks next to a help yourself sign. Well, I say more. There was one mochi left that she ate without hesitation. Surely nothing bad can happen, right? It's not like mochi was the only word Carmine was able to say earlier. Putting this to the back of our minds, we're now in search of the TV remote so we can change the TV channel to something other than the tourism video that the caretaker left on before hiding the remote. So it's time for a new quest. The quicker we get this done, the quicker we can play games. Wait, I'm already playing a game. Turns out the remote was in the plant pot the whole time. With this mini treasure hunt completed, it now looks like something or someone has gone missing, and it's our job to hunt her down. And lucky for her, I'm a seasoned veteran of hunting things against the odds. So it's time for a new quest. Arvin already has an idea about what's going on, and this is the best idea anyone's had all day. As we all know, if two trainers' eyes meet, they have to battle. So if she jump scares us and catches our eyes, we have no choice. That's her through and through. It doesn't help us figure out where she is though. All we know is that she's not in the community centre, so it's time to venture outside. Kieran somehow worms his way into some alone time with me, telling the other two that they should stay in the community centre and keep watch. I'm not a fan of this, but I'm just going to use it as motivation to get this hunt done quicker than any I've done before. As we head outside, there's still some people that we can see roaming about at this time of night. And they're hungry for oh no, wait! It looks like we're in for a battle this time. So we send out our Pokemon, and Kieran's shocked that they're actually attacking us after they challenged us. How did he become the BB League champion if this is a surprise? After taking out the Salazzle, Ariados, Noctowl and Victreebel, he's still a bit shook. So much so that it took a second for him to realise that they were doing the same song and dance that Carmine was. At least he's speaking some sense for once. Nemona will be way more useful than he is right now. Speak of the devil, we spot her running off up the path to Kitakami Hall. No time like the present to go on after her, I guess. Before we can catch up with her, we find Kieran's grandpa and grandma stood at the gate. I think I can see how Carmine got out the first time if this is how well they're keeping an eye on her. Food does take priority though, so why not grab some noodles while she's sound asleep? Catching the two of them back up with what's been happening around town and with Nemona specifically. It's good news for us because they ran into someone who matched the description. And Kieran's grandma spoke with her. And she said... Oh, for God's sake. Ever the good husband, Kieran's grandpa takes some of the food his wife offered, and He seems fine so far. Never mind. We're in for another battle. But silver lining to the situation. It only took 2 DLCs, but we finally learned the names of Kieran's grandma and grandpa. It's a shame for Hideko and Yukito, though, that we have to beat them for their own good. Knocking out Arbok, Shander, no, Weezing, Chandelure, and Mamoswine. Not a tough battle, so there's no doubt that they're definitely related to Kieran. But back to the case of the mysterious curse. It seems like no one's safe. Not even the ex-champion, who's spiraling fast. Some deep, insightful, and well thought out words of encouragement later. He snaps out of it, finally piecing together that Mochi might have something to do with what's been going on. We're interrupted by a phone call from Arvin, who wanted to check in that we're both okay, given we've been a bit radio silent since we left the community centre. He was so worried that they decided to come and find us and got attacked by people shouting Mochi, Mochi at them. Wait, hear me out. This might have something to do with Mochi. Alright, joking aside, it sounded like things weren't going well for Arvin and Penny on the other end of the line, so after hearing the magical floating phone fall to the ground and the line cut off, we make our way down to see what happened. Walking up to the two of them, everything seems just fine, but because it was, Penny just panicked and used head smash on Arvin. Apparently she'd seen something weird and got spooked like a ponyta, and it wasn't long before we'd see it too. Is that the pink plush that was on the stall earlier? No, that's definitely a new Pokemon. And it's shooting Mochi? I managed to dodge it and Kieran took one to the face. Yeah, those were Mochi and they were giving Arvin and Penny the power to dance? Well, we know how this goes. In order to get to the Pokemon, I have to take out Umbreon, Greedent, the recently recovered Mabostuff, Cloyster, Sylveon, Leafeon, Penny, Arvin, and every other thing between me and this new addition to my Living Dex. That's now trying to run off now that it has no protection. The chase is on up the hill to the Loyalty Plaza, only to find Nemona standing in front of the recently restored monument, and she's possessed. So if I've got this right, the Mochi she stole from Peachy's earlier must have been from the Pokemon we just met. It hasn't changed much though, given that with or without being possessed, she'd still be challenging us to a match. At least that's different. Wait, what's that behind? There's a little runt, along with everyone else from the village by the looks of it. Yeah, that seems like a Kieran problem to me. I'll just focus on Nemona and the pink plush. She started sending out Lycanroc day form at night. It fainted with the rest of her team through the fight. And all that was left, all said and done, was a little pink runt in my sight. Not happy that I'd beat literally everything that threw him away, Pecharunt stepped up to the plate to challenge me itself. But unlucky for it, Dripplin and me have been together since we first arrived in Kitakami. So it's no match for us, and after a few questionable words from Kieran and a Pokeball, I'd caught the latest addition to my Living Dex. Having sealed Pecharunt away, the care seemed to be wearing off, and everyone from the village slowly came to the senses, including Arvin and Penny, who got possibly the worst recap of events from Kieran that I think I've ever heard. They seem to get the gist though, and I guess we're not calling it a curse anymore either. And we all live happily ever after. Wait, what happened to Nemona? She's just messing with us. More worried about whether we found the remote than why she's suddenly up at the Loyalty Plaza. At least she's not lost track of time. Although speaking of losing track, what happened to Carmine and her grandparents? They're all back to normal as well, it seems. Several days later, it was finally time to say goodbye and make our way back to Paldean, bringing things full circle by thanking them for all the food we ate, the fun we had at the festival, and obviously the battles we had. Although we'd never be able to satisfy Nemona's battle appetite if we tried. Inviting them to join a quickly growing club and hearing that Kieran's decided that he's going back to school. Which is great news for me because that means I'm going to be able to visit Kitakami in peace the next time I'm here. Arvin swallowed his pride and apologised to Kieran for flexing on him when he first landed. But Carmine gave him a blessing to flex as much as he wanted to. I think she might have a thing for him if I had to bet. Penny snuck in one last comment about her personality, which Kieran apologised for, but it's already too late to save us, meaning it's not only the end of the line for us, but also the DLC's epilogue. Oh, and one last thing. I've completed everything else so far, and I'm not about to stop now. So after a little BP grinding for old time's sake, I called in some special coaches to unlock the last of the special trades, which were for Arven Squover, Penny's Vivi, and Nemona's Tauros. Also picking up some new sandwich-themed phone cases from Arven while I was there. Then, lastly, hunting down Carmine and Kieran to unlock their special trades for Poltergeist and Applin, as well as some joke glasses and a suitably edgy black blueberry phone case, leaving me with 1,300 out of 1,390 Pokemon in my Living Dex and a long plane ride back to Paldean. And I think that might be it for mine and Dripplin's journey through the Scarlet and Violet DLCs. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and maybe you think about sticking around for any of the videos I got planned in future. But other than that, do all the usual stuff like liking, sharing, follow the Twitch, and